All right, Eagles fans, let's break down everything that's been going on with the team lately, starting with the big story around Cam Jurgens. I've watched the game again, paused, rewound, and really dissected what went wrong on offense because it's been something we have to talk about. The offensive line, as a whole, just hasn't been delivering at the level we need, and it showed big time in the second half of the game. Cam Jurgens, who somehow got voted into the Pro Bowl, is really struggling. I mean, it's not a matter of bad luck or a few mistakes here and there. It's consistent, repeated beatings by the same moves. Watching him try to hold the line, it's almost painful because you can see the talent around him trying to pick up the slack, but it's just not enough. Backup players like Fry Johnson are doing what they can, but that's the thing, they're backups. You can't expect the same kind of production when the key pieces aren't performing. Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson have also been disappointing, which makes the whole unit feel unstable. And when you pair that with conservative play calling, you get a recipe for frustration. This offense is too passive, too hesitant, and that really limits what the team can do, even when you've got Jalen Hurts playing smart and careful football. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, we need to give credit where it's due. He kept the ball safe in conditions where others, like Josh Allen, made critical mistakes. Hurts didn't turn it over, didn't make the errors that cost points, and that kind of discipline matters in these high-stakes games. But it only goes so far if the line in front of him can't create opportunities. We saw plays where the design was solid, the concept was there, but the execution failed because the offensive line just couldn't hold up. That's frustrating because you can see the potential in some of these runs, the tosses, the misdirections. They try to do creative stuff, but the results just weren't there. And it's not just about Cam. It's about the entire system being too predictable and too hesitant. You can't rely solely on the defense to win games when the offense can't finish drives. And that brings us to the broader point. The Eagles need to be more aggressive, especially on third downs. There were too many moments where they could have been pushing for a first down or a touchdown, but instead opted to settle for field goals or punts. That kind of passivity allows defenses to adjust, and that's exactly what happened against Buffalo. The Bills saw the predictability, made their moves, and the Eagles couldn't respond effectively. It's not just frustrating. It's a clear indicator that something has to change if the team wants to make a deep playoff run. Now, let's take a moment to highlight some players who have been stepping up, because it's not all negative. Jalen Hurts played smart, but on the defensive side, we have to give some love to Jalen Hurts. No, sorry, Jalen Hunt. At the beginning of the season, I wasn't convinced he could fill the shoes left by Josh Sweat, but the last 8 games have been a revelation. He's accumulated 5.5 sacks, 27 pressures, 10 quarterback hits, and a PFF pass rush grade of 70.1. That kind of performance shows growth, adaptability, and resilience, and it's exactly what you want from a defensive end. It's the kind of consistency that can make a difference when games are on the line. And there are others too, like Jahad Campbell, who's been putting up impressive numbers that we'll dive into later. But for now, it's clear that the defensive side has some standouts, while the offense is still searching for its rhythm. The contrast is stark, and it makes the wins feel a bit precarious because you know the defense is holding the team together while the offense struggles to maintain momentum. Now, circling back to the offensive line and Cam Jurgens, it's hard not to get frustrated because watching him play, you see repeated mistakes that cost the team valuable yardage and opportunities. The same swim move gets him every time, and it's almost unbelievable how often it works against him. Brett Toth, when he's been in the lineup, has looked better in multiple games, particularly in terms of outside run blocking and pass protection. It's crazy to say it, but Toth's performances have been more reliable than Jurgens in several situations. And that's not just about comparing two players. It's about how the team functions overall. When your center isn't executing at a high level, it affects every play, every snap, and that's why we've seen the offense stall in critical moments. And then you add in the conservative play calling, the hesitancy to take chances even when the situation calls for it. And you get a lot of drives that just fade away, handing off on tackle traps on 3rd and long. Settling for field goals when there's room to push, it's a formula for limiting your own potential. Aggression, decisiveness, and smart risk-taking are exactly what the offense needs to unlock. And until that happens consistently, We're going to keep seeing games where the first half looks promising, but the second half struggles to maintain momentum. The impact of this passivity is felt not just in the numbers, but in the mindset of the team. When the offense isn't assertive, it puts more pressure on the defense to carry the game. We've seen the defense respond admirably, but that's not a sustainable approach if the Eagles want to make a real playoff push. Teams in the NFC are strong and versatile, and the league is full of squads that can punish hesitation. The 49ers have a dominant offense. The Bears are capable of explosive plays, and even teams like the Rams, despite a slight decline, are dangerous when opportunities present themselves. The margin for error is slim, and the Eagles cannot afford to rely solely on defensive heroics. It's why Cam Jurgens struggles. The passive play calling and the predictability on third downs all need to be addressed before the postseason. Despite these offensive challenges, there's still a bright side. SAQUON Barkley remains confident, emphasizing that playoff football is what players work for all year. One game can end everything, and that mindset, coupled with the talent on the field, means the Eagles still have a chance to compete with anybody. It's about balance, execution, and taking advantage of the opportunities they're given. The defense is strong, the talent is there, and the potential for a complete, dominant performance is absolutely within reach. But it requires the offense to step up, execute under pressure, and stop being predictable. That's the conversation we need to have if the team wants to go further than they have in recent years. And it all starts with accountability on the offensive line, smarter play calling, and a willingness to take calculated risks in crucial moments. Continuing with the Eagles and their offensive challenges, it's clear that execution is the name of the game going forward. When you look at the second half of recent games, you see a pattern that can't be ignored. The offense starts strong, maybe even looks confident in the first quarter, but then the adjustments from the opposing defense expose the weaknesses. And right at the center of this, pun intended, is the offensive line. Cam Jurgens has been struggling to hold up against even the standard pass rush moves, and the repetition of the same mistakes is concerning. This isn't just a one-off bad day. It's been a recurring theme, and when you combine that with conservative play calling, the offense becomes predictable. Predictability in football, especially in the playoffs, can be brutal. Teams can plan around you, pressure you, and force turnovers because they know your tendencies. The Eagles can't afford to be that team if they want to go deep into the postseason. Now, when we talk about aggressive play, it's not about reckless decisions. It's about being decisive, attacking when you see an opening, and trusting the players on the field to make plays. Take third downs, for example. There were too many instances where the Eagles could have pushed for a first down or even aimed for the end zone, but the coaching staff opted for the safe choice: punt or field goal. That's where the frustration comes in. Football isn't a game of what-ifs when you settle for half measures. It's about capitalizing on every opportunity, being bold, and forcing the defense to react. And right now, that mindset is what's missing. Jalen Hurts has shown he can handle the ball smartly and make plays under pressure, but the rest of the offense has to match that level of commitment. Without that, the potential is limited, no matter how talented your quarterback is. Speaking of talent, let's talk about SAQUON Barkley, because his confidence is infectious. Even after tough second halves, he remains optimistic and focused. That kind of mindset is essential for a team heading into the playoffs. The NFL is brutal because it's single elimination, one mistake, one off game, and your season is over. But Barkley's attitude reminds the team that they can compete with anyone if they bring their best game. That positive energy has to spread across the locker room because confidence fuels performance. Players start believing in their capabilities, and that belief translates to execution on the field. But again, belief alone isn't enough. The execution has to follow. The line has to hold. The play calling has to create opportunities, and players have to capitalize on those moments. It's the combination of preparation, skill, and aggressive decision-making that wins games, especially when the stakes are highest. And that brings us to the dynamic between the coaching staff and the players. Coaching isn't just about strategy. It's about knowing when to push, when to trust, and when to adapt. The Eagles have shown glimpses of smart game planning, but there have been too many moments where the plays seem passive, almost as if the team is afraid to take risks. Football is inherently risky. It's a contact sport full of unpredictability. The best teams are the ones that embrace that risk, adjust on the fly, and make plays under pressure. Holding back only gives opponents the upper hand. For the Eagles to truly compete against teams like the 49ers, the Rams, or any of the strong NFC squads, they have to flip that switch. It's about attacking the weaknesses, exploiting gaps, and creating opportunities for explosive plays. The run game has also been affected by the offensive line struggles, which in turn limits the entire offense. When your tackles and center can't consistently create lanes, it makes even the best running backs less effective. SAQUON Barkley, for example, is incredibly talented, but even he needs those lanes to hit the second level of the defense. Without that support, the play stalls and momentum is lost. And when the offense stalls repeatedly, it puts more pressure on the defense to carry the team. The defense has been performing at a dominant level, but relying solely on them is risky. Over time, fatigue sets in, and one misstep can change the course of a game. The Eagles need to find balance, ensure the offensive line steps up, and allow Barkley and Hurts to operate with confidence. Another layer to consider is the mental side of the game. Football is as much psychological as it is physical. If the offense is hesitant, it affects the player's confidence. Quarterbacks start second-guessing, running backs hesitate at the line, and receivers might lose timing. The chemistry and rhythm of a team come from trust in each other's abilities and the game plan. Right now, the Eagles have moments of brilliance, but they need to sustain it for 4 quarters. They can't afford to have a strong first half and a weak second half, especially when playoff-caliber opponents make adjustments. Consistency is key, and that comes from execution, preparation, and mental toughness. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Shockwaves are rippling through the NFL world after SAQUON Barkley, the star running back for the New York Giants, openly admitted in a recent interview that he harbored intense dislike for Philadelphia Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni. Barkley's candid words, "I couldn't stand that son of a B*********************************************************************************************** asterisk asterisk H, have ignited speculation about a potential rivalry rekindling, trade talks, or even Barkley's own future in the league. The remark has left fans and analysts buzzing. While Barkley has long been celebrated for his explosive running and work ethic, this revelation paints a more complicated picture of the locker room dynamics he's faced throughout his career. Some insiders suggest that Barkley's frustration may have stemmed from repeated clashes over offensive schemes and game management, while others point to personality conflicts that allegedly soured his relationship with Sirianni during their encounters. If Barkley's comments are more than just venting, they could have real implications for team strategies and front office decisions. The Giants, always vigilant about protecting their marquee talent, might now have to navigate the tricky waters of Barkley's public statements, especially given the media frenzy such quotes inevitably spark. Meanwhile, the Eagles' camp has remained tight-lipped, but whispers from sources close to the team suggest that Sirianni's reputation as a demanding and sometimes polarizing coach may not be news to insiders. Analysts are already weighing the potential fallout. Could Barkley's admission fuel trade rumors? Or is it merely a dramatic expression of past tensions that will fade with time? Either way, the comments underscore how personal dynamics between players and coaches can become headline news, sometimes overshadowing on-field performance. Social media has been alight with reactions ranging from shock to amusement, with fans dissecting every word and speculating about what it might mean for future matchups. While no official moves are reported, and Barkley remains a central figure for the Giants, this revelation adds yet another layer of intrigue to the already intense rivalry between two of the NFC's most scrutinized teams. For now, the NFL world waits, curious whether this candid confession signals the start of a new chapter in Barkley's career, or if it's simply another juicy story to be filed under locker room drama. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.